We have also made a number of personnel decisions. Some of these were tough calls. I'm sure you can appreciate this, and we held off making these until the investigation was complete.
GM is going through a roller coaster. The boss just quit, and what about the workers? Fired. This is big news. So how is it going to affect you as a consumer and the industry too? And what the heck is happening? Is this the end for GM? How did we get here? Well, let's dive into the current situation General Motors is in, which has really thrown the company into a tailspin over the past few years. I mean, have you noticed the fluctuations in GM's stock prices? It's hard to miss. The numbers have taken a significant hit, causing a stir among investors. One eye-catching moment happened recently when GM's stock plummeted by a staggering 5.6% following a downgrade from Morgan Stanley. The financial firm adjusted its rating from overweight to equal weight, and this change understandably shook investor confidence. Why did this happen? The primary reason cited was the increasing competition from manufacturers in China, coupled with a price target drop from $47 to $42. But that is just sugarcoating the problem. This is a big issue, so let me dissect this for you. And you, just subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out. Maze of issues. It's been a roller coaster ride for GM over the last 3 years, to say the least. If you thought the 5.6% decline was big, then you need to see this. The stock saw a remarkable surge of 41% in 2021, then took a nosedive of negative 42% in 2022, only to manage a mere 8% increase in 2023. This kind of inconsistency certainly raises eyebrows and leads to questions about GM's long-term stability and its place in the marketplace. Another serious concern is the pileup of unsold inventory at GM dealerships, particularly for Chevrolet vehicles. The reports are quite telling. Sales of marquee models like the Chevrolet Silverado have dropped significantly, resulting in a surplus of vehicles taking up space on dealership lots. This situation reflects broader trends in the market, where soaring interest rates and high vehicle prices have caused consumer demand to wane. It's not just a minor hiccup. These inventory challenges put a strain on GM's financial bottom line and hint at potential overproduction issues, as well as a disappointing mismatch with what consumers actually want right now. The troubles at GM aren't simply noted in isolation, they're part of a larger industry slowdown. The automotive sector as a whole is now dealing with the process of stabilizing prices after an extraordinary period marked by inflation and supply chain chaos that stemmed from the COVID-19 pandemic. Analysts are predicting that the average prices for new vehicles might decline by about 4.1% year over year. That's significant. Furthermore, competition is heating up. Look at competitors like Tesla and Ford, who have been slashing prices to grab a bigger slice of the market pie. This aggressive pricing strategy could very well have a ripple effect on GM's sales results and overall standing in the industry. As if that weren't enough, GM is also grappling with quality control issues and problematic product launches, which have raised eyebrows and concerns among consumers. The Chevy Silverado ZR2, for instance, has been hit with a spate of reported engine and transmission problems that have caused quite a ruckus. Customers are voicing their worries, and the resulting warranty claims and recalls are casting a shadow over GM's quality assurance processes. These quality control questions don't just affect the current sales, they could seriously tarnish the long-term reputation that the Chevrolet brand has built up over many years. Now, let's not forget about the launch of the Chevy Blazer EV, which faced its own set of troubles due to software glitches that delayed deliveries and frustrated eager buyers. You can only imagine the disappointment for those early adopters who were ready and waiting. The initial timelines turned out to be optimistic at best, resulting in negative feedback from consumers and a growing skepticism regarding GM's ability to uphold its promises in the electric vehicle market. This is a tough lesson for GM as it strives to transition to an electric future while grappling with quality standards that seem to be slipping. These quality control challenges have taken a toll on GM's brand reputation. Recent surveys point to a troubling decline in consumer trust as more and more customers express dissatisfaction with the reliability of GM products. This is no small issue. The cumulative impact of these quality concerns can lead to a serious dip in brand loyalty, and that's something GM cannot afford as it looks ahead to future sales and market competitiveness. To recover and grow in a market that's becoming more cutthroat by the day, GM absolutely needs to focus on restoring consumer confidence. That's essential if the company hopes to regain its footing and thrive, and they need to take action now. Why? Because of the price war. Let me explain. A battle for survival. General Motors is currently wrestling with some major challenges due to its high pricing strategy, especially for its flagship trucks such as the High Country and the Z71 models. These popular trucks are often sold at a premium, and it's not uncommon for the High Country to reach prices over $60,000. Sure, GM's trucks come loaded with advanced features and carry a well-established brand reputation that many consumers trust. However, this premium pricing can be a massive turnoff for budget-conscious customers. When you look around, competitors like Ford and Ram are offering similar models for much lower price tags, which creates a dilemma. Consumers might start to feel that they aren't getting enough value for the extra bucks they'd have to spend on a GM truck, which leads them to explore more affordable alternatives. This scenario is made even more complicated by rising competition from brands that skillfully position their products with eye-catching pricing that pulls consumers in. As if the high price points weren't challenging enough, GM is also grappling with skyrocketing costs of raw materials and labor. This situation adds even more pressure on GM's pricing strategies. For example, did you know that steel prices shot up by nearly 50% between 2020 and 2021? This surge dramatically affected the production costs of vehicles. That's not all. Labor costs have also climbed due to inflation and ongoing supply chain disruptions. With these cost pressures in play, GM finds itself needing to keep vehicle prices elevated to protect its profit margins. While this is a strategic move, it also bears the risk of alienating potential buyers in a climate that increasingly prioritizes affordability. Now, let's shift our focus to how competitors are responding. Brands like Tesla and Ford have jumped into the fray with aggressive price cuts in the electric vehicle market, trying to snatch some of that valuable market share. For instance, Tesla made headlines in early 2023 when it slashed prices on its Model 3 and Model Y by as much as $10,000. This drastic move was aimed at boosting sales amid intensifying competition. Ford is in the game too, having reduced prices on their electric F-150 Lightning and Mustang Mach-E models, making them all the more enticing for consumers considering a switch from traditional gas-powered vehicles. This aggressive pricing creates an incredibly challenging environment for GM, which is trying hard to keep its market position solid. So what now? Given these pressures, GM has opted for a strategy that prioritizes maintaining profitability per vehicle rather than diving into a destructive price war. This choice is rooted in lessons learned from past experiences, where heavy discounting resulted in unsustainable demand and long-term financial consequences. By focusing on profitability over immediate market share, GM is trying to enhance its customer value proposition through superior features and quality, rather than just slashing prices. The company is making significant investments in technology and safety features to back up its pricing strategy. This way, GM doesn't have to resort to deep discounts to attract buyers. Instead, it can justify its prices with added value. But what does the ongoing price war mean for everyone involved? It presents serious risks of shrinking profit margins, not only for GM but for its competitors as well, including Stellantis. Financial experts are projecting that if this trend continues, profit margins might shrink by as much as 20% within the next fiscal year. That's a pretty alarming forecast, especially when you consider that such margin compression could lead to reduced investments in research and development. This lack of investment ultimately hampers innovation within the industry, as companies shift their focus toward immediate survival rather than crafting long-term growth strategies. To counter these challenges and stay afloat, GM has rolled out a diversification strategy. This approach includes a wide array of models offered at various price points, allowing GM to cater to different market segments and meet diverse consumer preferences without directly engaging in brutal price competition. The company has also implemented recent initiatives that feature targeted incentives for specific vehicles instead of blanket discounts on all models. By aligning these incentives more closely with transaction prices, GM aims to reduce reliance on discounts while still being competitive in key market segments. This clever strategic shift not only helps GM maintain profitability, but also strengthens brand loyalty among consumers who appreciate quality and innovation more than just low prices. In this fierce market landscape, it's this ability to balance value with competitive pricing that could make all the difference for GM moving forward, and GM has a blueprint to make this happen, but it is risky. A double-edged sword. What does it mean to embark on a massive journey toward electric vehicles? General Motors is diving headfirst into this exciting yet complex world of electric mobility. The company is working tirelessly to position itself as a trailblazer in the swiftly evolving automotive landscape. With a bold vision, GM has set its sights on rolling out a fully electric lineup that features standout models like the Chevy Silverado EV and the GMC Hummer EV. Let's break these down a bit. The Silverado EV is crafted on GM's innovative Ultium platform, engineered to deliver not just exceptional performance but also substantial utility. This makes it appealing to a broad audience, whether you're an everyday commuter or someone who loves off-road adventures. Speaking of off-roading, the Hummer EV is a revival of a beloved nameplate that offers impressive off-road capabilities while also showcasing cutting-edge technology. This all serves as a testament to GM's commitment to innovation in electric mobility. But hold on, GM's strategy includes offering a diverse price range for its EV lineup. You can find models starting as low as around $35,000, all the way up to models that exceed $300,000. This pricing strategy aims to grab attention from various market segments and consumer demographics, catering to everyone from budget-conscious buyers to luxury car enthusiasts searching for high-performance vehicles. By presenting such a broad spectrum of options, GM hopes to claim a sizable piece of the expanding EV market while also appealing to an increasingly eco-conscious customer base. However, not everything is smooth sailing for GM in this ambitious transition toward electric vehicles. Despite the grand plans, the company is confronting significant challenges in hitting its EV sales targets. In the third quarter of 2024, GM announced a remarkable 60% increase in EV sales compared to the previous year, totaling approximately 32,100 units sold. Now, while this growth is certainly encouraging, it's crucial to note that it occurs against the backdrop of a decline in total vehicle sales, which dropped by 2.2% overall. This highlights a complex reality. While demand for EVs is rising, it is still struggling to make up for the downturn in traditional vehicle sales. At present, EVs account for only about 4.9% of GM's total sales, and the company's market share in the US EV segment remains around 9.5%. These statistics reveal a clear message. GM must keep its momentum going and work to enhance consumer adoption as it navigates a vibrant yet competitive market full of both seasoned automakers and fresh entrants. To tackle these hurdles and appeal to a broader audience, GM has made a strategically smart move to reintroduce plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, or PHEVs. This step acts as a bridge between the classic internal combustion engines and fully electric vehicles. The recognition is crucial. Many shoppers might feel a bit hesitant to dive into an all-electric lifestyle due to worries about charging infrastructure and the limitations in driving range. That's where models like the Chevrolet Volt come back into play. GM is revitalizing these vehicles by updating their technology and features to make them more attractive to consumers who value flexibility in their driving experience. PHEVs come loaded with several compelling advantages that can effectively ease the worries of consumers regarding electric driving. By combining electric power and a gasoline engine, these vehicles grant extended range capabilities. This means drivers get to enjoy the perks of electric driving without the constant fear of running out of battery on long journeys. This dual fuel approach alleviates range anxiety, a significant hurdle for many potential EV buyers, by ensuring they have access to gasoline when needed. Research shows that consumers really appreciate this level of flexibility. It allows them to smoothly switch between electric and gasoline power depending on their unique needs and driving patterns. While as GM continues to forge ahead with electrification efforts, it is vital to recognize the financial realities facing the company during this transition. Recent reports have brought to light that GM has incurred notable losses in its EV segment. Current projections reveal that achieving profitability is contingent on selling at least 200,000 EVs every year. This figure really puts into perspective the scale of investment that is required for successful market penetration. Unfortunately, the company faces challenges in scaling production effectively while grappling with the rising costs of raw materials. Supply chain disruptions, which have been exacerbated by global events such as pandemics and geopolitical tensions, have also contributed significantly to the financial strain GM is experiencing and have raised valid concerns about its ability to reach its ambitious sales targets. A key aspect of GM's transition involves comparing the profitability of traditional gas-powered vehicles against the hefty investment required to develop and produce EVs. While it's true that gas-powered vehicles still generate considerable profits, evidenced by robust sales figures for popular models like the Chevrolet Trax, the production of electric vehicles demands substantial upfront investments in technological development, manufacturing infrastructure, as well as establishing charging networks. Financial reports show that while traditional vehicles yield higher immediate returns, largely due to well-established production processes and consumer familiarity, GM must successfully navigate this shift if it hopes to ensure its long-term viability and stay competitive in a world that's increasingly leaning toward electrification. But GM has bigger problems to face off, so let's talk about that for a sec. The roots of GM's troubles. Let's dive into something that still stings for General Motors, the ignition switch scandal. This shocking event came to light back in the year 2014, and it has left a profound and lasting mark on GM. The repercussions have been heavy, significantly tarnishing the company's reputation while simultaneously eroding consumer trust. What happened, you might wonder? Well, the scandal revolved around faulty ignition switches, which posed a serious risk. These defects could unexpectedly turn off the engine while someone was driving, which, as you can imagine, lead to a host of dangerous situations, including numerous accidents and even fatalities. Reports indicate that this was linked to at least 124 deaths and hundreds of other injuries, inciting public outrage that was simply impossible to ignore. To make matters worse, details revealed that GM had been aware of this problematic ignition switch issue for years, but chose to remain indecisive, ultimately leading to a public outcry and a deep loss of faith among consumers. The long-term fallout from this scandal has been nothing short of severe. Many customers now associate GM with negligence and inadequate safety standards, which has significantly diminished brand loyalty. Consequently, GM has seen a decline in market share as consumers increasingly lean toward competitors perceived as more reliable. But let's break down the fallout a bit more. The repercussions of the ignition switch scandal didn't just stop at consumer skepticism. They also triggered serious financial consequences for GM. The company faced significant legal issues, including hefty fines and settlements that exceeded $2.5 billion. This staggering figure covers a broad range of expenses, from compensation for the families of victims to legal fees, plus the costs associated with the recall of millions of vehicles that had those defective switches. In total, GM had to recall around 2.6 million vehicles in North America alone. That involved incurring additional costs related to repairs and launching customer service initiatives aimed at slowly rebuilding trust. The scandal demanded an urgent need for a significant cultural shift within GM. The focus had to be on improving safety protocols and enhancing transparency, both of which require time, effort, and money to restore consumer confidence. In response, GM set up a new internal safety committee and appointed a chief compliance officer whose main job is to oversee safety practices across every department. However, despite these efforts, the brand's reputation still struggles to recover fully. Surveys indicate that many consumers continue to remain wary about GM's commitment to safety, which is a major hurdle as the company tries to attract fresh customers from an increasingly competitive market. Which brings me to the next topic: leadership and company image. Criticism regarding GM's leadership has ramped up, particularly in light of the company's recent struggles. A lot of voices from within the company suggest that leadership is more concerned with personal ambitions than with meaningful innovation. Many insiders have pointed out that the decisions made by leadership often reflect individual agendas rather than being part of a coherent vision for GM's future. This disconnect has led to a string of failed initiatives, especially when it comes to missed opportunities in the electric vehicle market and slow responses to shifting consumer preferences. For example, competitors like Tesla have swiftly expanded their EV offerings, cleverly building strong brand identities rooted in sustainability and innovation. In stark contrast, leaders at GM have been criticized for not adapting quickly enough to the quickening pace of market trends. This sluggishness has resulted in defensive ground being lost to more agile rivals who are perfectly positioned to take full advantage of emerging technologies. Let's toss in some specific examples to illustrate these leadership failures. The delayed rollout of significant EV models like the Chevy Silverado EV stands out as a case where internal disagreements have stalled progress. While other automakers have managed to launch multiple EV models within tight timeframes, GM's hesitation has made the company susceptible to harsh criticism from both consumers and investors alike. Now, the bureaucratic structure within GM further compounds these leadership failures. The complexity of the company's hierarchy often leads to inefficiencies when it comes to decision-making processes, where essential insights provided by frontline employees can be overlooked or ignored altogether. This disconnect not only hampers the decision-making process, but can also result in choices that fail to align with market realities or genuine consumer needs. For instance, feedback from dealerships regarding what customers are looking for can take weeks or even months to reach the upper management levels because of all the layers of bureaucracy involved. Experts have argued that these bureaucratic inefficiencies lead to silos within the organization, causing departments to function independently. Instead of coming together to work toward common goals, departments may be pursuing their individual agendas. Moreover, this bureaucratic inertia tends to suffocate innovation. It becomes increasingly challenging for new ideas to gain traction when employees feel discouraged from bringing bold initiatives to the table. Why? They worry their suggestions will get lost in a complicated approval system. This results in GM finding it tough to maintain a unified strategy that effectively addresses current challenges while also seizing future opportunities. Taking all of this into consideration, we can see that the combination of the ignition switch scandals issues and ongoing leadership failures points to systemic problems within GM that need urgent attention. Addressing these deep-rooted issues is absolutely essential not only for restoring trust among consumers, but also for positioning the company for sustainable growth in a competitive automotive landscape. Without making substantial changes to both corporate culture and leadership practices, GM risks further alienating its customer base, while simultaneously falling behind competitors when it comes to innovation and market responsiveness. As the automotive industry quickly evolves toward electrification and emphasizes sustainability, GM must recognize its past missteps and actively strive to cultivate a culture of accountability, transparency, and proactive engagement with its employees and consumers. Challenges and opportunities. Look, there is a worrying trend. The ongoing losses in its electric vehicle segment are raising serious concerns about the company's long-term sustainability. Analysts are optimistic and suggest that GM's electric vehicle line is expected to become profitable in the near future. Still, the company's current reliance on traditional vehicle sales illustrates just how complex this transition process is. Plus, the automotive industry, and GM in particular, is feeling the heat from an increasing array of government regulations that are aimed at reducing emissions. New federal mandates are now in place, requiring substantial reductions in greenhouse gas emissions by the year 2032. This new regulatory environment is compelling automakers like GM to pivot towards electrification at a much quicker pace than ever before. It's not just about compliance. These regulations are shaping GM's strategic decisions and influencing its product offerings along with investment priorities. As the company works to align its strategies with these regulations, there's a vital need to ensure that this transition to electric vehicles doesn't jeopardize its profitability or market share, especially in the short term. As GM speeds up its transition to electric vehicles, it is confronted with a new set of challenges related to repair and maintenance costs. New reports from the industry highlight that the repair costs associated with electric vehicles can be significantly higher than those of traditional vehicles. This increase is primarily due to the complex components and advanced technology that electric vehicles utilize. For example, servicing electric vehicles often requires specialized training and state-of-the-art equipment, leading to an increase in overall costs for consumers. This financial burden might deter potential buyers who are already concerned about the higher upfront costs linked to electric vehicles, creating a potential barrier for GM's innovation efforts. The rising repair costs associated with electric vehicles also have serious implications not only for insurance companies, but also for consumers themselves. As repair expenses continue to climb, it is likely that insurance premiums will follow suit, adding further financial pressure on consumers. Insurance providers might need to rethink their policies to better reflect the unique risks and expenses associated with electric vehicle repairs, which could result in higher premiums or even changes in coverage options. In this evolving landscape, both GM and insurance providers will need to adjust their strategies so they can effectively meet consumer needs while also managing costs in a practical way. But what do you think? Let's know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video.